Welcome back. Yeah, let me fix this up a little bit. Today we are going to be discussing the Jarrett Shaw. I talked about him maybe a couple months ago. This is the American basketball player who was playing in Indonesia. And while he was in Indonesia, and we will discuss, he brought THC gummies and got caught. Now, this goes into what I constantly talk about on this channel and what I've said in most of my life now that I've been through this, that you as an American must understand that the life you live in the United States is extremely privileged. You don't have some of these protections that so many Americans, when they travel, assume they have, like freedom of speech or saying your opinion out loud. There are a number of situations I can point to where this gets Americans in trouble. And I have explicitly warned other athletes, especially when I was in Saudi Arabia, because there were some big rules against that you aren't in America anymore. When in Rome, do what the Romans do. And the reason why I say that is because you must understand the laws you're getting yourself into so you can avoid a situation like this. This is Jarrett Shaw, U.S. basketball player, escaped execution in Indonesia, but he's still in prison. Because originally, as I said in the last video I've done on this, he was about to be executed. That is the law there. So let's go on. So Jarrett Shaw is locked up in an Indonesian prison, but at least he isn't facing execution, something that appeared a possibility less than a year ago. Now, I'm not going to go through all of this. I'm going to try to talk some of the big points, but there are some things I definitely want to bring up that explicitly I want to talk about when it comes to Americans assuming that, this privileged life you live in America is the way this guy talks isn't truly understanding the consequences of his actions. And I know he would do this in the future. So the 35-year-old American was a key member of a basketball team. He played in Tunisia, Lebanon, Saudi Arabia. I played in all these places too. So apparently he suffers from Crohn's disease, a chronic inflammatory bowel disease which affects the digestive tract. Like many who live with the condition, he found cannabis helped alleviate his often excruciating symptoms and would use the substance legally for medical purposes. Now, this is already a problem. Now, he's saying in Thailand where he lived during the IBL offseason, so he was in Thailand. Or Thailand, I'm saying Thai, wow. He was in Thailand. And I do not explicitly know the rules in Thailand. I will say it out front. I'm considering this as he's an American player. I know cost of living is a lot cheaper in Thailand, so that's a good move on his part. But I want to bring up as his mindset is still American, and this is what I want to talk about in this video. Shaw did so despite Crohn's disease, as I said, and all this. Now, that was until he made what he called a stupid mistake. He's saying it's stupid because he got caught. If he didn't get caught, he wouldn't be saying this. This is why I don't feel this is genuine. This is a consequence of bringing in a package of 132 cannabis gummies to be delivered to his apartment complex in Indonesia. Now, you can say and fool everyone else, real talk, like if I'm talking to him, because like I said, we both play pro. Really? Even if you have Crohn's disease, there are, now, yeah, cannabis can help alleviate it. That's not the only thing that you can use to alleviate it. Unfortunately, I know what he was doing. He was having some for recreational use, and he was selling it to his teammates for more money. Now, I am literally saying that I have no proof on the matter, and I know that's what I'm saying, but I've been around enough athletes to know what we're doing over there. You try to have your cake and eat it too. That's essentially what happened. I know enough guys who smuggle. I've done it in the past. So I'm not going to sit here and act like I didn't. But the reality is that you got caught because you were distributing, which is why they hit the firing squad, because you were, and you had so much that it was obvious you were selling. That's why they got you. And to me, while you're playing basketball, is it really worth it? Are you hurting for money that much that you have to sell THC gummies? And then you're bringing in that much? Hopefully he didn't do this all in one delivery, but I guarantee that's what he did. He got all of it in one delivery. All 132 cannabis gummies. I mean, did they tell you how much it weighed? Here, let me pull something up. Let me see if I can. See, this one tells it. It weighed 869 grams. Dude, like, that's for personal use? You can literally convince and judge in America that's for personal use? No. It's trafficking. That's why, and of course, they lowered it, and I'm thankful they did. I don't want his entire life to be ruined, but you essentially sold out your entire life for weed, ultimately. And this is what I mean by being controlled by vices, being controlled by weed, being controlled by money. I'm not saying you can't even do it, but you can't sacrifice everything for it, which is essentially what he did. Now, let's get back to this article. Now, I know we're in a little tangent, but he ordered a package of 132 cannabis gummies to be delivered to his apartment complex in Indonesia, leading to the dramatic arrest in May 2025, of course. He went from a basketball star, into the country, being paraded to handcuffed. Yeah, exactly. Indonesia has some of the harshest drug laws in the world. Cannabis is categorized alongside heroin and methamphetamine in Indonesia, despite its legalization for medical and recreational use across swaths of North America and Europe. This is the problem. Brittany Griner, you did this. He's doing this. And I know for a fact there are athletes who are still doing this but haven't gotten caught yet. You must be explicitly aware what country you're in. When in Rome, do what the Romans do. You aren't in America anymore. These have real consequences. And how much will you have made selling those gummies? I mean, a couple thousand maybe? Like, you can't convince me that all that's for personal use. You can't convince me, because if it really was for personal use, I can almost guarantee there are some guys on that team, or some guys that he probably knows because how big he is, that have connections to the underground, to just get a small amount and have it to your home. Every country that I had access to, even Saudi Arabia, I had access to it. Now, I didn't do it because they test, and I'm not about to fail no test over some weed. But now you're in jail. That's the reality. Let's keep going. That meant Shaw could have been given the death penalty for possession of just $400 worth of drugs. The country carried out executions by a firing squad for drug offenses as recently as 2016. Shaw never believed that his purchase of a relatively small amount, would quickly escalate into a life and death situation. This is how I feel. This is why Beyond the Court exists. This is why I created this. How do you not know? It's your responsibility to know, let alone when you're doing drugs in other countries. Like, that's the dark web type stuff. Like, that's you doing something illegally. That means it takes more attention, more responsibility to do it without getting caught. You got lazy. You thought it wouldn't work. And now I didn't know that it's gonna be a life and death situation. You do that in Saudi Arabia. You do that in, Lebanon might be all right. Tunisia, you get caught with those too. Not ain't death penalty, but there are heavy penalties for this. You know this. I played there too, so I already know. So I know you can, no one can tell me differently. I've been to these countries. So you knew better. You got caught. That's the difference. You got caught. And I'm sorry to be that forthright, but that's the consequences. They're dangerous. They're life-threatening. You might get caught in a war zone because you don't understand geopolitics. You don't understand the rules of law in the countries you're playing in. The norms in America don't mean ish to these guys in Indonesia. And this is explicitly an American problem. This is, I don't see my French teammates, my Middle Eastern teammates in Lebanon and Saudi Arabia, my Tunisian teammates. No other teammates none of them go walk around like, oh, I'm Tunisian, I can do whatever I want. Only Americans do this. And I have to warn, I said this earlier, I had to warn so many guys so many times. You're not in America no more. You can't do this. You can't put your arms around a woman in Saudi Arabia. It's illegal. You'll get sent to jail for it, for PDA, any type of it. Like, I literally had to give this speech every time we had a new player come in. I had to give this speech. Now, I'm not saying I'm not upset at giving it. That's not my issue. It's the hubris that if most Americans walk into these countries, not only do illegal-ish in their backyard, when you get caught, it's, oh, well, I didn't know it was gonna happen. This is dangerous thinking. That's basically what I'm trying to point I'm making. Fortunately for Shaw, he was found guilty of drug possession, but cleared of trafficking by the presiding judge, which, yeah, that avoids a death penalty. Because when you're carrying that much to them, you are trafficking. The lesser charge meant he was not eligible for the death penalty, but he was sentenced to 26 months in jail, including time served, and given a $50,000 fine. Looking back, yeah, Shaw told the Guardian over the phone, I wish I could go back and change my actions, but it was definitely a relief to know I wasn't getting the death. Yeah. Not that Shaw was safe, of course. He was held at an overcrowded prison where a fire broke out in 2021, injured many dozens more. But with the U.S. Embassy assistance, Shaw moved to another prison where his conditions were a little bit better. He now shares a cell with 4 others as opposed to a dozen he had previously. His conditions are far from comfortable, though. A lack of access to healthy food exacerbates his chronic symptoms. Yeah, I'm not saying that you didn't need it or not want it, but you have to understand where you're at. I know I was harsh earlier, but this is the real consequences. You can lose your life over weed. Like, are you all serious? You can't throw away THC for 6 months? Like I said, now he's talking, the food is a really big issue for me. Yeah, because in America, you're spoiled in jail in America. Much better than other jails I've seen, especially outside of Europe. Oh my gosh. I have to eat pretty clean with my crumbs, but the food's not healthy. Of course, Shaw's stomach is often unsettled with acidic from the fried foods provided from prison. Yeah, but you cannot afford to completely avoid by ordering healthier options from outside. Some days he suffers from sharp pain, nausea, vomiting, and this has affected anxiety and depression, I'm sure, man. Like I said, I wish you the best, man, but like, this is the real consequence. This is when the veil that most professional athletes live under, when that veil disappears and reality hits, this is the consequence. This is why if you are going to do this, you need to be careful about it. Real talk. Like, just from my opinion, I think he got lazy. I think he got entitled, lazy, and got caught. I kind of get down and just try not to even think about it. In November, after 6 months in jail, Shaw was assessed by a doctor who concluded he was enduring abdominal pain, had mild anemia, and tested positive for E. coli infection. Yep, can cause diarrhea, bleeding, and fever. The doctor also noted that Shaw was previously diagnosed but ulcerative colitis, I don't know what that type of bowel disease. Yeah, so yeah, when you got rescued, was 245 and 6'11". Yeah, it's about my weight. And now he's 210. Yeah, there's a proper nutrition there. Almost 4 months, Shaw still waiting admission to a hospital. Yeah, people with Crohn's disease. The irony that Shaw, yeah, I'm stupid this because we know how bad it is. Like, no, I get it. Crohn's disease is no joke. But using that to get weed in a country that's illegal in, just because in America it's legal, doesn't matter. There you go. The irony that Shaw was jailed for seeking access to one medicine that suits the condition is not allowed. Yeah, of course. Cannabis helped me tremendously as far as aches and pains and appetite and not feeling down. Okay. I mean, and yeah, I can agree with that, but it's looked down upon like it's something bad. I just try to say it once again, that is a privileged mindset because you live in America. In other countries, that is intolerable. Intolerable. Because once you open that doorway, that leads access to other drugs. And it gets worse and it gets worse. And most of these ultra conservative countries like Saudi Arabia will not even open that door, which is the moment why when they brought in Nicki Minaj, I think it was Nicki Minaj, for a concert, for BTS, for a concert in Saudi Arabia, where they finally start opening up to the West when it comes to creativity, because the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia had to innovate because oil was going out the door, so they were using their wealth to start bringing in entertainment and start bringing in stuff to Saudi Arabia. They had to be completely covered. They had to change dance moves. BTS has gone on access saying they had to change dance moves. They couldn't be as provocative. They had such a strict leash because they do not want their women going crazy like they see over here. And not just being real. Like, and there are a number of people, not just men, but women there too, who support it. So it's like, this is what I mean by privileged mindset. In their culture, we just look down upon something bad, because in that culture, it is bad. And the collective understanding when it comes to the people believe it's bad, which means in their country, you can't bring it in. Same thing with Indonesia. Their laws explicitly say no drugs. They don't want any parts of it. And that's their autonomy as a country to rule. So when you're going there and playing, you must go by their rules or don't play there. Simple. But Americans, and I keep bringing up Americans because only Americans that do this, Americans always have this mind, well, I'm American, I can do what I want. They have to accommodate me because I'm an American. I saw this in every country I played in, France, Tunisia, Lebanon, Germany, Belgium. Americans will come over and assume, well, why isn't this in English? Why do I have to do kilometers? Why do I have to worry about this? Like, it's baffling. Like, I've said it on here, but it's baffling that this is literally what I have to bring up because these guys can't do it. So, I just try to say, but yeah, man, that's all you can do now. You better, I hope you learn from your mistake and not use weed as a means to ruin your life because you want to smoke after practice. To that end, the Texan works out in a prison gym and plays tennis at a slow pace when his stomach is settled enough. He is writing a book about his story. I just keep my mind busy and pretty much stay isolated. He says, I'm not really here to make any friends with Andy. Yeah, of course you're not. You got to stick to yourself and survive this ordeal, survive this trial. So I just kind of stayed to myself when days go past. His legal team is petitioning the Indonesian Minister of Health to consider a compassionate release. Oh, I hope your legal team can do it, man. I have a real condition with evidence from specialists. Hopefully he can get to the right people. Ask whether he is hoping to continue his basketball. Did I give him nope. How old are you now? You are 35. You're my age. I mean, you could, but you're going to start over. You're going to have to start over. They're going to make, like, these companies, teams, they're going to look you up and they're going to use that as a means to pay you 50% less. So if you were making, I mean, Indonesia, I can assume you could probably be making 15 a month, 15, 20 a month, most likely, depending on how good he is. Especially if he's a top scorer, you're probably making at least 20 a month. Oh yeah, you about to get a massive pay cut if you want to play, go back overseas again. Because they're going to make the excuse. You're going to use, oh, well, you know, this could hurt the sponsors because you're on the news. And you're going to have to pay a massive pay cut. Let's see. Never real condition. Yeah, we know this. Yeah, we're done. That's basically it. I just want to bring this up because, and I know I went in a small rant, but any other player watching this, you must, when in Rome, do what the Romans do. If you're, and I don't want to condone it, but if you're going to do it, be smart about it. You can't take 132 gummies weighing at almost 900 grams and assume no one's going to know about it. In a strict country like that, yeah, they're coming to get you. And now it's, oh, well, I brought weed. Why is my life being ruined? Because you brought weed in a place where there's no tolerance. The Guardian itself is completely westernized. They're talking, well, it's a medical condition, and we need to we use it legally for medical purposes. And I get it. PR, you need to make yourself look good. But ultimately, in Indonesia, they don't care. It's their laws. They don't want any cannabis, period. And if you're going to bring it over, you must understand the risk. And you thought you were immune to that risk, which is why it became a surprise to you. If you were really about this life and understood the consequences of your actions, you would say, you know what? You caught me. Yep. You have to accept the consequence because you wanted to have something when they explicitly told you, you can't have it. But you wanted to bring it in anyway. And I'm saying this as someone who has done my own gray area. I'm going to use that word. I've done my own gray area. And I understood if something happened, it's my fault. Now, I don't do that anymore. But for you, you're still doing it. And now you're surprised that you got caught. They finally got you. And here's a consequence of getting caught. Which is why when I played, I didn't do anything because I understood if they test and I get caught, I'm banned for a year. All my money's gone. It looks bad when they look you up. Everyone's going to know this now. It's going to follow you forever. The moment I look you up on Google, this is what comes up now. That's the legacy that people are going to remember. They're not going to remember the 1,000 points. I mean, I barely talked about this in 3 seasons. That's great, but you think people are going to remember this? Your kids, if you have them, they're going to remember this when they see your name and they look you up in the zeitgeist. They're going to see this. That's what's going to be shown. And you're going to have to do a lot. And I really wish you luck on your hopeful transition to go following that other path of redemption, which is a much harder and thornier path. But you can hopefully, once you get to the end of this, you can be a role model and say, here's what not to do because I lived through it. And you can have authority behind what you say because you are living through it and you're going through this trial. And hopefully you come out better at the end of it. So I won't keep going. I could, but ultimately this should be a warning to any player or even American who's traveling. If you are traveling to a different country, those rules that you live by in America that you don't even realize you live by do not apply. It's only a matter of time when they choose to enforce when you're doing wrong, it's game over. They win. Whether you are real ignorant, which is lack of knowledge of it, or not, they don't care. They don't care that you have a medical. They don't care that you have a condition. They care that in their rule of law, THC is banned. You take any more than that, like he did, past 500 grams, it's trafficking. We have no tolerance. You're getting the death penalty. That's in their rule of law. And when you get caught without understanding the risk, that's the rule of law that they confer to. And that's why you shouldn't do it at all. If you are, you damn sure better be informed about it. Have a good day, everyone. Goodness, so there we go.